I'm gonna. Hopefully the microphone's set right.
You fix the delay and follow and all that.
Yeah. I don't know. The delay, I think, is okay. Hey there, everybody. Still not feeling that good. You can probably tell. Got Thomas here with me tonight. It's now 3 months since Andrea passed away. I did go to the doctor. For all you people who want me to go to the doctor, there's nothing he can do for me. It's not pneumonia, and he prescribed me some stuff that's supposed to help, so I guess we'll see. But still not talking quite right, though. Hi, everybody.
Check on that. Look at that.
Yep, right there. So we got our last video was flagged made for kids, and that's the only video we've had that's been flagged made for kids, which is just a regular school vlog. But I think because of Solomon's thumbnail with his cute little face with his 2 front teeth missing, I think that must have triggered it as something made for kids. So if that kind of stuff keeps happening, you can't basically make any money on videos that are made for kids, and maybe we'll go back to just not monetizing. But they still don't show up in searches. They're not recommended. You can't get notified about them. You can't comment on them. You can't do any of that stuff. So I guess we'll see what happens with that whole stuff. It's supposed to all really start hammering down on that new system they're doing here next next year, or beginning of the year. So so December, I think it's the first of the year, right? I don't really remember. Yep, I can't believe it's been 3 months. It's kind of hard to believe, but so kind of hard day. I definitely shed some tears today, but I pretty much shed tears every day. But yep, the kids, 8 o'clock's the bedtime, so it's also the time we're streaming. So they're now all in bed, but they're not going to be making noise here for a little while, most likely, before they fall asleep. So is Thomas allowed to date yet?
I can if I want to.
See, there you go. Can if he wants to. I'm not coughing all that much now, but my voice, I can't talk right. It feels very frustrating that I can't talk right. Thomas, you excited to be graduating soon?
I don't really care.
Don't care? Not feeling too good. I'm feeling a little better probably, but I'm still coughing and I can't talk, and that's really frustrating. It's still kind of clogged up. Any struggles with even going into womanhood without mom? No. Andrea had kind of told her about all that stuff, so I'm glad that she did. We've been suspecting maybe she's getting towards that. She's still only 9, but it could be coming. So I've got some prescription cough stuff right now that the doctor gave me, but I haven't really been taking it very much. Took it a little bit, but they gave me some prednisone, so that's supposed to lower inflammation in my lungs and make me be able to breathe better and maybe help my voice come back. I got some lozenges that are honey. I've been using, but I don't know if it's really helping. Still working at the grocery store, Thomas?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm hoping you guys can pick up Thomas still. I'm guessing you can. But I'll put it on my sleeve. It's kind of close to over there.
I'll probably just see if I.
Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah, but really good.
How's Andrea's dad? He didn't know it was 3 months. I told him today, and he started crying. But who was your hardest to get to sleep at night? Oh, I don't know. They all had take turns, it seems. Hardest, probably Solomon. He just sits in his bed and plays, and hard to make him go to bed.
That's always been the case, though.
Yeah. Still, I don't know if anybody's any harder than him.
Yeah. So you more than ever have Alexa.
Yeah. They figured out Alexa can tell stories all night long if they're not careful, so. I like making the videos, so I don't necessarily need a break from them. I enjoy it, and it's fun to do and contact you guys. And the cinnamon recipe is really good. I'm really happy with it. I guess I've made progress. I asked the boys today when I got up if they thought we were any better than we were 1 month ago and 2 months ago. And they all said, yeah. I know that's true. Oh, thank you, Sandra. That's very kind. Praying for your sweet family. Love you all so much. We love you all too. I'm not sure what this medicine is you prescribed me for cough, but it's supposed to work. I couldn't tell if it did or didn't. Thomas isn't talking right now. Let's try moving the camera a little bit here. I can sit over here more by you.
Hi, hello, how's it going?
Can you hear him now? What are your plans for Thanksgiving? We're going to Amy's house, Andrea's sister, for Thanksgiving, so that should be fun. Yep, it is hard to lose a spouse. It's really hard. I suppose it's going to get easier. Hi, everybody. Don't worry, I wouldn't talk about that anyway, Susan. That's a nasty bait question. Are you going to make any changes to your home? Probably will. So we have a little extra money now, and we have some plans that Andrea drew up on how she envisioned the house in the future, in the distant future, with adding on to the house a little living room for all the kids and grandkids to hang out in. So that will probably happen someday, but we're not in any rush.
We also need to get a second bathroom, and a table, and a couch.
Yeah, there's a few things we'll do. The second bathroom will probably be pretty high on the list of things to do. There needs some plumbing work needs to be done first, and I can't do it. It's serious stuff. So I'm gonna keep thinking I'm gonna call the guy to come give us a quote, but I haven't done it yet. Where did Thomas's cross come from? That used to be mine when I was in high school, and now he has it. Think of Andrea every day, purchased a bracelet with an A on it. When I wear it, it makes me think of her. Well, that's wonderful. You know who Chance Engelberg
Hi,
is?
Judah.
Nope.
Yeah.
You want to come over here, Judah? You can.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, that way. So why don't you scoot over a little bit, Thomas, and then over there for Judah. Although if you scoot that way, I can hold the microphone in the middle. Well, thank you, Athena. Well, you're an amazing family, always in my prayers. Well, we certainly need the prayers. We thank you. I was thinking about her today. You know, I wish she just had a moment where we could, where she acknowledged she knew what was going to happen. I mean, she knew at some point they said she was going to die. And so then we held out to get home. We never got to talk about it. So I wish she had said something to me. But the nature shelf, yeah, we'll continue adding to the nature shelf when we find things. Life just isn't normal right now.
We haven't added to it in a while. Like even 4 months ago. Last thing I remember going up was that little crystal owl thing. Took Mom and Dad drew it, or Mom and Judah made together.
I'm sure we'll continue adding to it. It's not really springtime right now. I don't know that I don't feel closure. I was thinking I wish she had told me that, don't worry, I know you can do it, which I know I can. But I just kind of wish that she had said something like that. There was this look she gave me in the plane. It was too loud to talk, but she just looked over at me with this smile, like everything's going to be okay. And that's what I hold on to. No doubt she knew when she woke up and said hi to the kids, and I could hear she was trying to talk under her breath a couple times. I know she knew. She knew from earlier on, but never got to connect about it and talk about it. Yeah, I know I can do it too. It just would have been nice to have that under my belt that she did say it. That look is what I got, so thanks, bud. Andrew didn't have any symptoms.
Cool.
None at all. She had her lymph node swollen, but that by itself doesn't mean anything. Yep, I am thinner. I can't help it. So I'm just about at my ideal weight, though, so that's nice. I lost like 25 pounds, but I'm not complaining. How do you grade all the kids' homework? They grade the majority of it themselves. We're mainly have to check. There's certain pages of certain things we have to grade, and they have we have to grade all the tests, of course. But mostly they grade their own papers. No, I wouldn't put Hannah in daycare. So, I guess Judah didn't want to stay, huh?
He didn't want to go at all. The only reason I called him out was because he didn't want to be noticed.
Earlier when I asked him, he acted like maybe he would. But no, don't have a headstone for Andrea yet. One of these days we'll do it.
Is your face mark?
It's got a sign on it or something. Some people say you wait till after the first year to do it. I just haven't done it. GoFundMe's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere, so you can certainly donate there if you'd like. There's not really a reason to end those. I just stay up and eventually stop getting stuff. The snow, no, there was some snow, but it's pretty much all gone now. I'm sure it'll be back. Hannah looks like you, Thomas. I haven't turned
Looks
it
like
up yet.
everybody.
Yeah. The GoFundMe is still open. It hasn't closed.
Probably.
I think the new description doesn't have it in there, but I can put it in there if you guys want to. The video music all comes from just the YouTube library. They give you creators a little library of music to use, and she'd go through there and always look for something that was like her. So she picked it out. So I still have the library of all the ones she's picked. Yeah, the Halloween was fun. Oh, the Christmas blankets in the attic. Yep, that's a tradition we'll still be doing. It's not quite Christmas blankety time yet, I don't think. We gotta wait till after Thanksgiving. Oh, there you go. Thomas linked it. There you go.
Those are.
Thomas, are you planning on attending college after you graduate?
Nope.
There you go. Thomas does look like his dad. He acts like his dad, and the same personality as his dad. He's like his dad in a lot of ways. But he's also still his own boy who's different than me. Yeah, well, Cyrus will be on there too, I'm sure. I haven't thought about it. Yep, I sure miss her. Yeah, there's Thomas just linked the GoFundMe. So if you want to.
I'm gonna get some more.
How did you end up in Wyoming from Southern California? My parents were moving out here because they believe that's where God wanted us to come. And I just came along with them, and it was great. I wouldn't normally have dressed up in the Halloween costume, but all you YouTube people really wanted me to be Bob Ross, so.
Where did that come from? I didn't hear anything about that, and all of a sudden, oh hey, Dad's Bob Ross.
When we did the video choosing the costumes, I showed it on that camera. I said maybe I said maybe I should be dressing up because it's cool to see a Bob Ross costume. And anyway, people kept leaving comments and saying stuff that I should wear it. Yep, I like sharing with you guys. It's therapeutic to talk to you guys, and it's fun, and I enjoy you all. You're all like family. Do I sound better? I hope I sound better. I can't stand how I'm talking. It makes me want to just scream and yell. Is Thomas still working at the same place?
Yes.
Thomas is great. He's not going to college. I think it's great too. It beats having a lot of debt. That's just kind of our attitude on it. There's nothing wrong with regular jobs.
I've never met a single person who's unironically said the phrase, "Man, I'm glad I went to college." So does that too.
It's pretty true. Am I getting sick? I've been sick for like 2 weeks, unfortunately. No, we're not really 4-H people, but we enjoy going to the parades they have. And that's the thing where you adopt animals. That's where Camden had a bull, remember? And he sold his bull or whatever.
Yeah.
They whenever Mom would take you guys to the fair in Sundance with the animals, that was a 4-H thing. So there you go, Thomas. That guy's Everyday Blue is glad they went to college. I went to college, and I'm glad for the experience, but I do
You're
think
not glad for going to college. You're glad.
I do think it
You're
was a
thankful,
waste.
but you're not
I do
glad.
think it was a waste of money.
I, for some reason, was struck by some inspiration to like be a doctor or something. I get a professional to teach me how to rip people's guts first, but I doubt that's going to happen, so I don't think I'm going to college.
Can't Wait for Bible Study. It's my favorite so far. Well, that's nice to hear. It doesn't always get the most views, but I enjoy doing it, and I think a lot of people really like it. Oh yeah, 1,000 people on right now. That's incredible. Do you think we'll have a veggie garden next year?
Probably not.
I keep thinking about it. I mean, part of me thinks, no way, it's a waste of time. It's so difficult. But part of me thinks by then I may want to do it. So, what's your connection to Oklahoma? There's a conference we go to every now and then. It's a theological discussion conference, and that's in Oklahoma, in Ardmore. So we've been going there once a year. Thomas, you are wise beyond your years. Who wrote Andrea's obituary? I think it was her sister Amy. Would you consider buying a new van? Probably not. We had put some money into this one recently, and if we ever needed to, we'd need to. But we want to spend our money wisely, and I really think adding on to the house is what Andrew's. That's what was next on her list. Is the things we would do would be saving for that. And I kept thinking there's no way it can happen. And she already drew the plans out and everything, so I really want to make that happen. It's in Ardmore, Oklahoma. That's where that conference is that we go. Absolutely. There's been like in the first Bible study, there's 800 people live, and I think it's kind of tapped down to 500, 400, but that's still a lot of people for a Bible study, boy. So I think it's been great. Is it a preterist conference? Yeah, it's a preterist pilgrim weekend. It's called. Just discusses preterism, which again, preterism isn't a religion. It's just a certain view on the end times. If you're in the Bible study stuff, we'll be talking about it. 28 hours in a Greyhound. Wow, that's a long trip. We started our home church when we couldn't find anywhere we wanted to go. So routine, only half a routine maybe. It's about all we've got down. I'm pretty good about getting laundry done. Did I do it today? I don't think I did. I think I forgot. Yeah, 1,000 people. Pretty crazy. Did I go to theology school? No, I didn't. Part of me would really love to go because they'd have so much great information that I could learn in books and libraries and things. But the other part of me says I would never want to go because I think the idea of getting a degree in God, it makes me angry. And I don't mean to be upset anybody who's done that, but it's like here's a paper that says you're certified to teach about God, and we all should teach about God. And I don't agree with today. If you really love God, what you're supposed to do is go to seminary and then have a church and preach. And I think that's the wrong way to do it. I think that you can learn a lot more on your own, and I think you can learn correctly instead of somebody teaching you the stuff they know. I just don't agree with the idea of it. The kids help with the cooking? Not really. I mean, they do lunch and breakfast. They kind of help.
Just gotta make their own thing, though.
Yeah, kind of help the little kids and help breakfast, but I do mostly the cooking for dinner. Yeah, we've been to Laramie. Laramie's not that far away from us. Dinners are not too bad. Made a chicken Alfredo, Andrea's recipe, and so that made me really happy. It tasted just like it. It made me really glad. And I visited Andrea. I visit her every day. I just don't go to her. Who's the pickiest eater? I don't know. It might be Asher. No. Everybody's picky in a different way. I'm sorry your dad's dying of cancer. That's terrible. Your prayers are with you. God, please heal him. No, you can't lose your salvation because of unpaid student loans. But it does say that the borrower is servant to the lender. So you're best to not be in debt to anybody, but it certainly doesn't damn your soul. We'll be getting into the end time stuff, and I just encourage you to keep an open mind. Our view is not the normal view, but I think it makes the most sense, hands down. Do I use the oil Andrea made for your? I did once. I like the smell, but I don't know if I can keep doing it.
Have like a, I don't know if you call it a recipe, that kind of thing for that.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I would want it anyways. There's something to be said. I enjoy the smell, but I also think um, that I don't ever want to touch it again at the same time. Pedersen says the church replaced Israel. No, that's not true. The Bible says that his believers are always those who trust and obey him. It doesn't matter who you are. It's always about the faithful assembly that follows the Lord. It doesn't matter what you call yourself or where you are or what nation you belong to. We'll be talking about it. I'm not ashamed of my view of the end times. I'm certainly not ashamed of it. But I will tell you, if you've never heard it before, it may be shocking to you. So just keep an open mind. I think I've laid the groundwork for our Bible study that I'm definitely open to any view if you're willing to discuss it from Scripture, and I'll just tell you what I think the Bible says, and that's all I'm doing over and over again. So, Leslie, you keep saying the same thing over and over again. I've already addressed it, and we'll talk about it in the Bible study. They are not all Israel that are descended from Israel. That's Romans 9:6. Just being born in any nationality doesn't get you into heaven. The only way to heaven is for Jesus Christ. So if you think one nation or another nation gets a special deal, they don't. I have a video on it if you're interested in our view. What? Go get back in bed. Would you go help her for a second? You know, a little girl who's scared. Yeah, that's wonderful. Jesus is the way. He's the only way. You can't. Being a citizen of any nation won't get you to heaven. Yeah, that was Claudia. She was scared of something, so Thomas is gonna go scare her with the boogeyman's. I haven't, Leslie. I can sure check him out. I love eschatology as well. I have
Claudia
a.
wants to go on top of because she's scared.
That's fine.
Okay.
I love eschatology as well. Um, very much. I have a whole video on it. If you guys can't wait for the end time stuff, just Google Tom Mills End of the World and on YouTube. Search on YouTube for Tom Mills End of the World. And I lay out the whole thing there about what we believe about the end time. So if you can't wait, check it out. I encourage you to just keep an open mind, and you're perfectly at liberty to disagree with me. It took me 10 years to get to where that point in that video is. Me and Andrea both. So I don't expect anybody to just watch it and convert to our view. And that's totally fine. We can totally disagree on stuff like that. As long as we believe in the foundation of Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven, everything else is debatable. Are the kids still going to the library? Yep, every Wednesday. That'll be going tomorrow. Do any of the kids prefer sleeping in bed with you? Yeah, Claudia and Sophia would do it every night if I let them. And sometimes they do it, and it's hard. They are really wiggly, especially Claudia. She'll be perpendicular, upside down, laying on me, kicking me. Hi, Thomas. You doing okay?
Yeah.
Title behind the book you is Stinky.
I stink. What about garbage trucks?
Yeah. Why do we have that? Because of Asher?
I think, I don't know, we've had it for a
It's
long
about
time.
garbage trucks. Asher, I saw it somehow when Asher was a little boy. He said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he wanted to be a garbage man. I have no idea what triggered that, but so I'm not sure if that has a story and how we got this. It probably did.
I feel like we had it a while, but not that long.
Is
Like
the link
a
below?
couple years.
Yeah,
What?
maybe. I'm sure that's what kept it around though.
What'd you ask?
Someone asked for the link for my end times video, but
Did it?
Thomas is on it apparently. Based on Andrea's drawing, I think the addition would be about as big as our house is now, which our house, the upstairs is 800 square feet. So,
Well, our house.
yeah, it's about the size of our whole house. And she always wanted it to be a living room, a giant living room, couches and tables and games, place to play games. And she wanted it to be a place that the kids and the grandkids could come in the future and hang out and play together. Well, I pray you do go through a better time, Adriana, and God gives you peace and wisdom.
My phone's. Which video?
End of the world. We should Tom Mules. That one right there, yeah. How did Hannah become attached to Asher? That was just the Lord, as far as I'm concerned. Well, hi, Hannah. That was just the Lord. God knew that little Hannah needed some. And I'm glad that he did. The time she was born, Hannah and Asher had an awesome, crazy good bond. He was changing diapers from immediately, and all he wanted to do was be around her and hold her. When Andrea was in the hospital, he said, I'm so glad that Hannah had Asher. Thanks, bud. Anyways, I'm glad she has Asher too. Thomas linked that video there, so that's the mobile one, it looks like. But you'll find it there.
Mobile one?
M.YouTube means mobile.
Oh, I have to go on Chrome. You can't.
Anyways,
links on YouTube.
If you're interested in the end time stuff, it's on there. I just encourage you to keep an open mind. It may be shocking, but it makes a lot of biblical sense. So. Yeah, they're going to come to fruition as far as I'm concerned. That's going to be what happens. We needed to add on anyways, so we might as well add on that way. I keep thinking maybe we'll make another full basement to get double the square footage there. No, I like crying somehow. It's good for me. And I only cried because I was happy that we have him. So Thomas is strong. Sometimes I think he's not as strong as he lets on. He's a good boy. Are you children angry for God for taking away Andrea? I don't think so, but I think it's natural to be angry at God. I know I was for a while. Thomas is a good man. Andrea was, I forget now, 13 weeks, 14 weeks. She lost him. Kids play with other kids outside the family. Yeah, they have friends.
Do we know the times all the kids were born? The hours and minutes?
I think Andrea talks about them. I think there's a video where she talks about it, but I don't know. If not, we'll never know. There's actually some scrapbooks she made of that stuff down in that white cabinet down there. I might say in there. She was 13 weeks when we went to the hospital, and we were there for 10 days, so went to 14 weeks.
Did you happen to know the exact time when Cyrus was born?
Yeah, that's written down somewhere. It's on the video. It was early in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Next birthday is going to be Asher, and Thomas and Sophia. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. I love doing the Bible study stuff. It's yum yum good. That's cute. How can you keep your faith in God after you ripped the love of your life away? Just can't imagine that. Yeah, I'm angry sometimes, but I mean, in your hypothetical, you're giving us God, right? So in that scenario, God's real, and you're asking how I can continue to have faith in Him for Him choosing a decision. But if God's there and He's God, He knows better than all of us. What does an omnipotent, omnipresent, omnipotent being desire and want? Probably just this. Death and pain are only so bad to us now because We're seeing it from this angle. Do you worry about the death and pain of 2,000 years ago? Or do you learn from it and see the wisdom in what happened? Everybody dies, some sooner than others. Does it make me sad? Absolutely. Does it make me lose my faith in God? No. He was the only one there for me. And I know it's all for a purpose, and I know everybody has to die at some time. I'm glad I got the time that we got. I'm glad we got the YouTube videos. I'm glad she didn't suffer. I'm glad I could be with her. I'm glad the kids got to see her. And I'm glad she wasn't crazy with Alzheimer's. So everything can be better, everything can be worse. I don't believe God takes people away. Sure he does. The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. May the name of the Lord be praised. And at the end of the book, God says, Job spoke of me what was right. So, how do you do MBTI on little kids? You mostly can't really test them. You just learn enough about the personality types that you can recognize it. You can usually tell by the negatives for each personality. Each personality type has certain bad things, I suppose you'd call it. And those things make it easily identifiable. You can say God does not make people sick and die in order to take them away. Again, you can speculate all you'd like, but God is God and we are not God. And so until you talk to God, you can't say. Elisha died of a sickness. There's places in the Bible where God gave people a sickness to take them away. So, but also everybody dies. And you know what? There's no such thing as dying of old age. Just as you get old, your body gets weaker and you eventually die of something. Heart attack or flu or something easy will kill you. Everybody dies from something, and you have to become to peace with dying. Nothing wrong with dying. It's part of his whole design. Everything has a purpose, and this word will serve him with his purpose. Looking from this side of it, I may have used this analogy before and it offended somebody, so if it offends you, then I apologize. But the analogy of an ant farm, why do you build an ant farm? You build an ant farm so you can watch ants and study them and watch them move and live and see. But inside the ant farm, are they teaching you? Are they guiding you? Are they helping you in that goal? No, an ant farm, that's their life. They're alive. They're living. And so things happen in the ant farm. People die, babies die, grow, everything happens in there. And that's their life. And so it's death serious to them. It's not death serious to us. And that's sad, but that's just the way it goes. But if you had perfect knowledge and perfect wisdom and could see everything outside of time, you're not that concerned about death and pain, because there's no such thing as light without the darkness. So a world without a test and without questions isn't a test. So do you prefer Mac or PC? PC. But Macs are good for what they do. Worried about the children, think about Christian therapy. I'm worried about them too. We do a lot of talking, and I've talked to them about whether or not they want to go talk to people with therapy, and if it turns out it's needed, I'll definitely consider doing that. So, didn't God design Adam and Eve to live forever, though? Well, if that's true, why did God plant a tree of life, right? If Adam and Eve were born immortal, there's no need for a tree of life. After Adam ate from the tree of knowledge, he says, look, man has become like us, knowing good and evil. Let him not also stretch out from his hand and take from the tree of life and eat and live forever. And it says, so God expunged him from the garden. He kicked him out of the garden, because then otherwise he'd access to the tree of life. He was not immortal to begin with. Otherwise, the tree of life is pointless. Yep, we are here to mature spiritually. I think that's the point. That's the point of evil. It's a melding of free will and predestination. How can you populate heaven with pure righteousness without forcing people to be righteous? It goes through a test as far as I'm concerned. So we have this test of earth that has evil and suffering. And if you can still see people being good in the face of evil and suffering, then you know that's true righteousness that will last. Without the evil and suffering, you're just a robot who has no choices. Yeah, people have lived longer than that. In fact,
People.
after God said that, for about another 1,000 years, people lived older than that. But that is about the age now that people live, isn't it? Am I feeling better? I think I'm feeling a little better, but I hate my voice being this way. It's so frustrating. All I want to do is scream. Roberts, I think I believe God allots us a specific number of days, and that's true. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a chicken and egg thing. If God knows the future, does that mean he made us choose the future? It says every one of your days were written in my books before one of them came to be. So he knows them all. Does that mean he allotted them, or he just knew it? I don't know. You can't comprehend God. Did the fisherman's friend help? I'm not going to lie. I've only tried it 2 more times. I've still got to get work up to that thing. Not only is it powerful, it does not taste good. God designed us to die. I think so. I think so. I kind of talked about this before, but you think about the scorpion. God engineered the scorpion to have awesome claws to hold down what he's going to kill, and this giant tail full of poison to come down here and destroy that thing. He built that thing to kill. He built the tiger to kill. I personally believe death was always part of the plan. Man was always meant to be in covenant with God and to walk with him, and thus he'd have access to the tree of life, and he would live forever. I don't believe the animals ate from that tree of life, and I think that the animals still lived and died and killed and that sort of thing. I think that's just what I think. I could be completely wrong, but the way I read it, it seems like death was always part of the system. The only thing that was going to alleviate death is being in covenant with God, and that's still the case. If you want to avoid true death, physical death is nothing. Spiritual death is what's important. If you want to avoid spiritual death, then you need to be in covenant with Jesus Christ. So that's the only way to live forever. Death is so unnatural. How can it be part of the plan? I don't know what verse says that. But don't you think God engineered the tiger to kill? The scorpion to kill? You can look at the Venus flytrap, designed to kill. A million other examples of very creative devices God has put in animals to kill. So God told Adam and Eve, in the day that you eat of the fruit, you will certainly die. But did Adam die that day? He didn't die that day, did he? But you may have heard the term spiritual death. He died spiritually. That's exactly, I think, the death that is important in the world. I think it's a death the Bible deals with. I don't think it's dealing with physical death most of the time. When Jesus said, whoever believes in me would have eternal life, does that mean you're never going to physically die? No, it doesn't mean that at all. I think we get hung up on physical death, and physical death isn't what's important in the Bible. Never had Chipotle before. I'm sure you did learn that. I would just encourage you to go back to read what the Bible actually says about it and see. It actually doesn't say anything about disease or illness or any of that stuff. So I kind of mentioned in the Bible study videos, I generally stay away from the garden story right now because it's really a divisive thing, and I don't like to be divisive. I do have opinions on it, and I'm sharing them now. I'm not staying away from them. But for every way to read Genesis chapters 1 and 2 and 3 and stuff, there's a million other ways. Some people take it totally metaphorically. Some people take it literally. Some people take a mix of both. I think it's mostly physical and real and literal, but that doesn't mean that everything I've ever thought about it is necessarily wrong. Like you get the idea that Adam was tempted by the serpent, and Adam was never tempted by the serpent. You read it, he wasn't. Adam never even saw the serpent. So I think that there's something to be said for that. Yeah, don't be afraid of those who can kill the body. Exactly. Every time that death is mentioned in the scriptures about some sort of weighty thing, I do not think it's talking about physical death. I think it's talking about spiritual death. True death, is not going to heaven. No, 1,000 years is not one day. In the very day that you eat it, you shall certainly die. He didn't say 1,000 years you were going to die. And in fact, the next verse clarifies it for us. He says, look, the man has become like us, knowing good and evil. Let us take him out of the garden, lest he reach out his hand and eat and from the tree of life and live forever. So after the fall, God said if he didn't leave the garden, he'd be able to live forever. The only reason why Adam went on to die later on is because he no longer had access to the tree of life. I personally think he had already eaten from the tree of life. That's probably would explain why he lived to be 1,000 years old, because it maybe takes that long to get out of his system. Thomas didn't ask anything about the mods. I wanted to take the mods and just give it just to Thomas because I felt bad and he really was proud of that job and I wanted to give that job back to him. He didn't ask for it or anything. So,
what's a Ghibli movie?
Boy, some of these are super baity. The KJV Bible is only inspired to preserve the Word of God. I'm just going to let that go on by. If you read that out to yourself, it should speak to you. T-Knock, I think you're onto something there. I'm not prepared to define it exactly, but I think you're onto something there. I might. I don't want to say your name; it's so big, but I might go over it all again. And again, I just look what the Bible actually says on it. And we've been taught so many things about the garden story. All right, baby girl, go to bed. Baby girl, if you get up again, you're going to be in trouble. Maybe we'll talk about it again. It's one of those things that it really hurts people's feelings if they're wrong on. And I find it totally unimportant. I think it's relative to redemption, and it ties into the stuff in Revelation. And so there's times you'll talk about it. But the only thing I'm going to really plant on is that idea again, that the death that Adam died that very day was not physical death. It was loss of a covenant with God. It was covenantal death. It was a spiritual death. That's the death that Jesus came to save us from, not physical death. Do you think Andrew's death brought you closer to the Lord? Did you ever resent God for it? That's a good question. I think it brought me closer to the Lord. I'm pretty close to the Lord all the time. Everything draws me closer to God. I guess it did. Do I resent him? I was angry. I know he knows best, but I was mad, and I'm not afraid to tell him I'm mad because God called David a man after his own heart, and David complained all the time to God. I'd much rather discuss religion than politics. Thank you. Yeah, me too. I don't mind discussing religion if you haven't noticed either. But even there's politics of religion. So there are certain things I don't want to talk about even from a religious standpoint if it seems it's totally pointless. Claudia getting in trouble, but she's so cute. It's true. She is really cute, but sometimes she's ornery.
Very
and less cute.
assertive.
Have you ever been called to preaching? I think everybody's called to preaching. It's interesting that word preach. I don't know where its modern day usage comes from, but in the Bible, it's the word proclaim in Greek. Just proclaim the truth. And I think we all are destined to proclaim truth. The idea that one man talks while 100 sit there and fall asleep is not biblical. Everybody should be preaching. So even if that's just to one other person, or even just to yourself. There's the verse again. I've shared in one of the Bible studies recently, but right now we see through a glass dimly, and God is the one that made the glass dim or dark if you're in a KJV, and it's His purpose for the glass to be dark. He knows we don't have ultimate truth now. He knows we only see finite from this perspective. That's why everybody is mad about doubting Thomas. Stupid doubting Thomas not believing. Jesus wasn't mad at doubting Thomas. He said, "Come here, Thomas, touch my side, put your fingers in my hands, and believe." Of course, he said, "More blessed are they that believe and had not seen." But he didn't chastise him for it, really. He told him to come believe. So he understands and is patient with us when we don't know. Of course, he knows we're going to be sad. But I look back about the YouTube channel. I look back at the things she set up and the systems we have and what she taught me about how to raise kids and all these things we have now. The reason why I'm doing so well right now is because of the things Andrea already set up. So that was of God. God was generous to me to let me have those things. See, that's one of the ones right there, dazzling dirty, about what happens to people who die without our faith. That's not a question I even care about answering. If you want to believe, believe. If you don't want to believe, don't believe. I think if you really care about the consequences, then that means you believe. If you truly don't believe, you shouldn't care about the consequences. Do whatever you want to do. Talking about the alternative to heaven doesn't get anybody anything. Everybody's best to do what they think is right and to serve God or not serve God. It's up to you. I'm not going to twist your arm and make you believe in God. He's worthy of our praise. If you don't want to give it to him, that's okay. If you ask me a question about belief in God, that's fine. But if you want me to just go on record as saying what I think is going to happen to all these bad people, it's outside my pay grade. God is the judge. I'm not a judge. What would you share about Christ with a Jew? Are you Jewish in religion? I would share Isaiah 53. I'm curious what you think if those verses were all in there and what you think they apply to. It's the kind of thing that I can't talk about right now, but I think it's a powerful passage for somebody who doesn't believe Jesus is the Messiah. Do we have theological discussions as a family? Yep, every Sunday. That's what we call church. And we do lots of other times during the week too. What's one thing people don't understand about grief? I don't know. I don't understand anything about grief either. So, can't really help you. I'm sad. But what does serving God look like to you? It should look like living your life righteously. It's the best answer I've heard to that question. I'm not sure what question you're talking about, but thank you. Yeah, if you really want to know what happens, you can read the Bible. But somebody who asks the question, what happens to unbelievers, has a motive. They either A, don't believe in God and thus don't care and just trying to sow discord, or B, have a strong opinion about what happens to those people and wants to bring it up and talk about it. I don't find that question fruitful in any way. It's like the light has no business contemplating the depths of the darkness.
Most of the time, it's just people who are like worried about other people that they know.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one that people want to know what happens to their loved ones. But I hope you'd agree that the best thing for your loved ones is to serve God and to come into his flock, and you should be working on that. That each person is responsible for their own soul, their own walk with God or lack thereof, and we can't control that. So all we got to do is sow the seed when we see an opportunity. How do you approach people to help further the kingdom? That's an awesome question, Tinoch. I used to have very strong opinions about the best way to do it. But now I've taken a much different approach to that question based on the Good Samaritan. Read the story of the Good Samaritan. That man was not out patrolling roads looking for down to people to help. He was on his way somewhere. He had a job to go do. He was busy. And he was just walking along to the place he had to go. And there was a man in his path. And he did not refuse to go around the man, but helped him. And he bounded his wounds, took him to the inn. But did he stay with him the whole time? No, he didn't. He gave the innkeeper money and paid him and said, anything else you need, charge it to me, and I'll pay you when I come back. I got to leave. I got somewhere to be. And he left. He didn't quit his job. He didn't give him a house or a job or go give him a bath and heal all the things that were wrong with him. He didn't talk about his theology or anything else. He just helped the man that was down. And I think that's what we're to do. When there's a man, so to speak, down in our path, and the question presents itself, the kingdom presents itself as needing work, just don't go around it. Go right through it. I think if we go around looking for those things, not only will it not work because it's not his timing, it just throws your pearls before swine. So I think our goal is to just simply look at the meetings God sets up for us and not to miss them. If you think you would lose God's approval for celebrating a holiday, then I would encourage you not to celebrate them. I do not feel that burden. So, how in the world can you memorize so many Bible verses by number? I don't need to. It's accidental. It happens from literally going through the Bible, the entire Bible word for word, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Good one, Elle. You're exactly right. But Jesus said it was the temple of his body. If you recall what Moses said, Moses wasn't allowed to build whatever he wanted in the temple, right? He said, build according to the pattern I showed you on the mountain. So Moses was copying a pattern that he saw that was in heaven, the true temple. I would encourage you to wonder what that is and what the purpose of the physical here is. All the systems that are in place, all the feast days, the rituals, all the sacrifices, all those things. And yet, what they truly signify. And can the blood of bulls and goats take away sin? They cannot. And I know if you you're here to the Talmud today, that you would agree with me. But according to the Torah, that's not what it says. It says you're to sacrifice an animal. So you got to reconcile Well, Moses tells you one thing, but the Talmud tells you something else. So, but I encourage you to ask those questions and just keep seeking. And if you're willing to look at whatever comes up, not just because man says it, but to pray and ask God to give you insight, I believe He will. But that's the thing. Jesus did build the temple. He says, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. And it was that point they realized He was talking about the temple of His body. And that's what He did do. After 3 days, they destroyed Him and He was raised again. His body is the true temple. I think you're brave, Elle. You're brave because you're willing to bring it up now. You're asking. You want to know. You're curious. I think that's awesome. And so everybody's going to have their own opinions. I encourage you not to listen to any of them. And just pray to God and ask Him to open your heart. And if something I've said has been useful, great. But we have the Bible there. And the Gospel of Matthew was written to Hebraic people. The other ones were not. So I'd encourage you to read what Matthew has to say. Also, the book of Hebrews. Hebrews goes into great depth about what the shadows of the Old Testament, the shadows of the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, and the Aaronic priesthood, and the temple sacrifices and the worship and the commands of God and what they go to. So, you're hearing a noise? We got a noise?
Where's the train?
Oh, it was the train. I don't even hear the train anymore. I kind of figured King Solomon said, do not be surprised when the poor are oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied, because one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. So that's true. Injustice is always there. Evil's there. Pain is there. All that stuff is in this world. It's not in heaven. So we are to be a light on a hill or a light on a lamp-lighted stand. Light can only shine in the darkness. Light around another light doesn't do anything, but it casts out darkness. So we are to do those things. But the kingdom of God is so much greater than that. So I don't let any of that stuff bend me out of shape that much. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to vote against it every time, and I want there to be righteousness and justice in everything. But it's not going to be. It's not going to be perfect on earth. So. How do you read the Bible correctly? That's very hard to read the Bible correctly. I haven't got it mastered yet. But I think the best way to do it is to, before you read anything, any chapter, to think about who's writing it, who's receiving it, who it's written for, who's hearing it, and the circumstances surrounding when it was written and what was going on then. What you don't want to do is put yourself in it and make it be our time. And try to just listen to what it says and not read into your own stuff. Bible's in the other room. I don't think you can hear it from here. There is
I can't hear you.
There's that fan on that computer. It could be that.
I mean, I don't hear anything listening to it other than the static.
Well, thank you, April.
I mean, I hear it, but
What is it?
it sounds like nothing. It's static or...
Well, sorry, guys. But we'll wrap this up here before too long. You're right, Elle. They are contradictory. You hear it now?
Yeah, I remember thinking that it's like alien robot controls. Some.
It's a that sounds like an encoding thing. I just can't back down and allow the government to corrupt me and enslaved. Don't. I'm not asking you to be enslaved. I just don't think it's that big a deal. Because one person's going to enslave you now, another person's going to enslave you tomorrow. If you're born into a country that's purely corrupt and evil, then you grow in that, you're planted in that area, and you just do the best you can with what happens in your life. And if you have a chance to rise up and fight it, then you absolutely should. But if I can't make it happen, that's fine. We live in a country you can do that. What if you're born into communist China or North Korea? You don't have a choice about anything in the world. You fight it if you can, but if not, you just do the best you can with what you have. God's kingdom is not of this world. It's in our hearts. It's perfect. It's great. This world's never going to be ironed out and perfect, no matter what. I'm glad we have it as good as we do. I'm just not that concerned about it. I'm glad. It may be encoding. As the quality shifts, if our internet's going down, maybe, or going slow, or YouTube's having trouble, the quality of the encoding will go down, and that will mess with audio encoding. So, yeah, it did kind of sound like a little bit of a feedback loop, but there's no sound playing here, except for maybe your speakers is doing it, your headphones.
No, they just have to turn back up to like weird people. I remember watching the film.
Yep, I think you should. I think you should always resist and fight and spread God's kingdom whenever we can, and always stick up for the downtrodden and the weak. But if you're in a corrupt government, you're in a corrupt government. If you have a chance to change it, great, change it. But I think a lot of times things we think are corrupt maybe not be, and other things that we don't know about are corrupt. So the world's corrupt. And I think King Solomon said that do not be surprised when you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied. That's not to be surprising. That's the way the world has been for thousands and thousands. That's like 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. King Solomon said that. Wisest man to ever live. So that's just always going to be. It's what you do with what you're being given that makes the most matter. It brings up the idea of the preacher's kid syndrome. You guys ever heard about PK syndrome or preacher's kids? I'm a preacher's kid. And so the preacher's kid thing is supposed to be that the kids of the preacher rebel and are naughty and bad more than any other kids. And the idea is supposed to be that the preacher is so holy and good. He's out there saving people and helping people. He doesn't have time for his own family. And so his kids resist and rebel. And that's just supposed to be normal. I think that's pathetic. I think it's wrong and evil. And if a man can control his own household, of course, that doesn't mean that you can't do your best and bad things happen. That, of course, can still happen. But that idea that the holiest people in the world have the worst kids is absolutely not correct. And so the same thing is if you spend your whole life fighting corruption, meanwhile, there's something else important in your life that you're neglecting. That's where I think I draw a line.
They never have to wear matching clothes. Someone wears random shirts sometimes.
Yep, they don't have to match us. We like to match. You know what? I don't think anybody knows how to pray, Tracy. Nobody does. That's why it's such a mystery. I struggle with it. Why should I pray? God knows my thoughts, right? He knows the attitude of my heart. What purpose is there in actually saying it out loud? And yet, he does want us to. I don't understand it. I just talked to him. So, even his disciples didn't know how to pray. They asked him, Jesus, teach us how to pray, like John teaches his disciples. And then he gives us a Lord prayer. And I see people analyze that. Well, first he praises God. and then he asks for his will to be done, and then he has a request, and then they have a formula in it. I think that's just silly too. Nobody knows how to pray. You know how to talk to your friend? I bet you know how to talk to a friend. So I encourage you just to do that. Yikes, that's terrible. But I can't blame you for wanting to fight the system. Maybe they've made their worst enemy. I wish you well in it. That's great. How's Andrea's sister doing? I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but they're all doing okay, I think. I had a thought once years ago based on a sign that I saw. I saw a sign once at a customer's house that said, "What if you woke up tomorrow with what you thanked God for yesterday?" Or what if you woke up tomorrow with what you thanked God for today? Anyways, the idea was I wouldn't wake up with very much, and I was immediately ashamed. And so, what if God only, I mean, I know that's not the case, but what if God only really hears us when we pray? Obviously, I know He can hear everything. But it says when we're judged, the books are opened, and everybody was judged according to what they've written in the books. So there are some sort of books, so to speak, somewhere, and God knows what we did is written there. So I just encourage us to pray. And a lot of times I take that into consideration. What if, even though I know God knows my heart, He knows everything that's happening in my life, I kind of generally take that attitude that what if He only hears what I pray? And so I try to just pray about everything. I worry about going to hell. Well, you and everybody else. I think that's one of the points of hell. And so I think that's normal. But just keep walking towards Him and you'll be fine. Tenoch, I would encourage you to watch my video on the end of the world. If you do a YouTube search for Tom Mills, End of the World, you can check out what I think about that. And maybe that'll help you. Maybe it won't. Yep, I went to the doctor yesterday and he prescribed me some stuff. So why do you think God says no when a yes is everything we need? Well, I would ask you, how do you know what you need? What if what you need brings you more pain and suffering than the no? Or what if we're not just meant to get everything that we want while we're on earth? I think that's probably closer to the truth. That doesn't mean God doesn't answer prayer and God doesn't give us things that we ask for. I think He does. But certainly not everything. I think this earth is meant to have obstacles and trials and tests and pain because that's its purpose. So there's actually a video about me and Andrea meeting. I think if you look for Tom or Mills family.
Before there were 10, there were 2.
Yeah, before there were 10, there were 2. It tells the whole story there. I saw Andrea in a dream. We're trying to do something and look for an outfit or something for one of the kids, and we couldn't find it. And we went to eat, and I said we need to try that new Marshalls because there's a new Marshalls in Gillette. And then I said, and I realized, I said, wait, you can't go there because you're dead. And then I yelled at her and told her to go away because she was dead. And then she was sad, and it looked like she was going to leave. And then I hugged her, and hugged her a long time, and that was nice. It was very painful, but also Very good. I would encourage you, Mrs. Resist Blue Isis, that if what you want to do is going to cause you to get a divorce, I'd have to encourage you to think that that's maybe not what God wants you to do. If you're a Christian, I would continue to ask you to pray.
I think these are things I thought.
Maybe you're not a Christian. That's nothing I can do about that. No, it's not the Bible. I mean, it is on, but it's in the other room. I don't think you can hear it
It
now.
might be the van.
Maybe.
Just not heard it.
You want to go try it? Take this, pull the fan, the filter out.
Yeah.
It'll stop making noise.
Oh, hold on. Put the one in.
Just pull that thing out. Leave it dangle. It won't stop making noise until you pull it out. Yeah, I don't ever know what to think about dreams. I think dreams are meant to be a mystery. No, I don't think the doctors are at fault. I think that was her day. God knew that was going to happen. I thank him for all the time we got to have before. Did I give Andrea her burial? I don't know. I gave her some flowers.
Not any difference.
Yeah. We need to make sure we put that back in there and mess up the furnace.
Yeah.
Yep, we're taking somebody with us in the monthly shopping. It's probably always going to be somebody 13 and over now with this whole YouTube thing. Yep, we're all going to die. That's universal. Well, maybe we should wrap this up here. Yep. We love all you guys. We don't care if you have the same faith as us or not. Wow, there's still a lot of people still on. That's amazing.
Let me see that.
Just that there.
Oh, does it tell you?
Oh, over here.
No.
Have the kids had counseling? Not officially, but we talk to them and they talk. Oh, we haven't had any official counseling. Pilgrim's Promise. Yep, we have.
Is that book where the guy goes on like a big orchard I had?
I think so, yeah. Yep, I think we're going to wrap this up, everybody. We appreciate you being here with us on this 3-month anniversary. We're grateful for you all, and it's nice to be able to talk to you. It helps. I'm glad Thomas was with me tonight. That was fun. All right, everybody. Do you have to wrap it up now? I suppose we don't have to, but all right. Yep, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It looks like the goodbyes are coming in. So, all right. Good night, everybody. We do love you and we appreciate you. And we'll talk to you next time. What's next? Bible study tomorrow at 8 o'clock Mountain. So we look forward to being you there for that. See you later.